Welcome. Welcome. Good evening. You lovely, bright spiritual beings. It's been so nice to be on retreat with each of you. And a big welcome to the folks who weren't able to make it on retreat. And so let's do this. Let's shut down our eyes and open our hearts. And just beginning to feel into the body. Just giving yourself permission to relax and to let go. And just noticing as the energies of the retreat are winding down. Just really feeling into the body. Softening and opening. And just inviting a gentle sense of love for our human self, body, the nervous system. And allowing the breath to go to any areas of tension in the body. So breathing, feeling, softening. Deeply melting. Allowing yourself to fully be held. The silent love of this moment. You may notice the transmission of the retreat continuing to work in the background. Creating a powerful sense of radiance. And as we begin, we're just feeling into the body in the most compassionate way. Providing a softening, a melting. gentle sense of openness, the space of the mind, the space of the throat. And just noticing if there's thoughts in the mind, we're letting them go. If there's any gripping, suppressing in the throat, we're letting it go. Just melting into this quiet, radiant openness. And feeling more fully into the heart, breathing, feeling, softening. And surrendering. And just noticing if there's any unresolved energies in the heart, any energies that were brought up by the retreat or just being brought up by life. Inviting this too to be held. Welcoming this warm sense of love, this quiet sense of spaciousness. And as we continue to breathe, this feeling down into the solar plexus and softening and opening. And again, surrendering any gripping, any tensing. Letting go of any fighting, the solar plexus. And sometimes at the end of a retreat, if there's any leftover resistance, there's a good chance it's ready to fully let go. It's ready to fully release. It might even have like a sense of sadness from fighting so much with the energy of God, and it might be ready just to put down the fight. If that resonates with any of you, there may be a very subtle, tender, it's like compassionate, vulnerable doorway. We can open and mouth, release, saying yes. I'm ready to put down the fight. Fully willing to let go. Just like sometimes soldiers who come home from war, they're still fighting in their mind and in their body. And there comes a point when they're just ready. It's just time to fully surrender, to give up the fight, to admit defeat. And so, inviting a great wave of relaxation, of surrender throughout the mind, the throat, the heart, the solar plexus, the hara. You can even imagine your egoic nature saying to God, okay, Lord, you win. You win. I give up. I give up. I surrender all. All to you, Lord. I surrender. I surrender all. And so inviting this deep, profound surrender above the head, all the way down through the central channel, every chakra center opening, releasing. Fully melting into the space of the earth. Allowing love fully triumph, fully embrace all of what's here. Breathing, feeling, opening. Can you love fully and completely what's here? Can you allow the heart to be totally open? So as we open so deeply, you notice this immense, spacious peace. Radiant, vast love. Quiet depth of strength. And so from this space of strength, of love, of openness, I invite you just to take a moment, reflect upon the spiritual path, what you've opened to on this retreat. Acknowledging this great depth of presence that you've realized. And welcoming a force of integration. A force of stabilization. And so as you breathe, as you feel, as you open, I invite you to inquire into your realization. To ask, what steps do I need to make? What choices do I need to choose to support the integration and stabilization of this light, this love, this strength, this peace? How does my life need to change? What am I willing to do? What do I need to let go of? What new truths do I need to step into? And as these steps of integration are shown to you, are you willing to commit? To make a commitment to this higher life, this higher love, this new peace or strength. Are you willing to commit to do what needs to be done? And so, of course, the answer is yes. And with that, let us invite the grace of God to come more fully into our life, into our path, supporting us, standing behind us, standing in front of us, standing on the right and the left, inviting the grace of God to be here with you. And so again, you may notice your whole central channel lighting up. Can you receive this heavenly support? And you allow yourself to be loved and uplifted on this spiritual path in this most confusing world. I choose the truth. And I ask you, God, to support me in this choice. To remove any and all obstacles from my path. Uplift me. Support me, Lord. In this work of integration. This radiance. Quiet strength. All this support is here for you. Can you receive? Can you open? Can you place your body on the divine altar? Allowing grace to do the integration. There's a message here from the Divine Mother. I want nothing more than to love and support you. I want nothing more than to love and support you on this path. Will you open, fully receive my grace? knowing all of what's here. Be fully held in love. And so let us gently bring our palms to our heart, bowing our heads. May this love bless all beings without end. I'm going to invite you just to continue to stay open with your experience and allowing this force of integration to continue to work in the background, and it can continue to work on us, through the night and through our sleep and then in the coming days. And integration is something that's not always spoken about. The time right after a retreat, or the time right after a big, powerful spiritual experience, it's a very special time, a precious time. People always wonder why they have big experiences and then lose those experiences. And it's often because we don't actually know how to integrate. We don't know how to honor what's here. We don't take the time to adequately allow these energies to establish themselves within our body. In the modern age, we are so busy rushing all the time, just filling every moment. And our body and our nervous system, since its inception, has always had tremendous time and space. Now, for many of us, we can't even remember a time when we didn't have our cell phones with us. And we can't remember a time when we weren't available by text or email or FaceTime or whatever it is. And I can tell you, I certainly remember a time. And my phone is, I upset so many people. But my phone, it always has that little moon on it. And I think that means don't disturb. For me, it just means it doesn't ring. It doesn't ring. It doesn't ding. It doesn't chime. And when the phone first came out, I can remember every time, someone would send me a text, I'd hear that little ding. And I noticed just a very subtle stress start to arise in my nervous system. And I didn't like it. I didn't like that. I needed to just be texting or communicating or doing something for someone all the time. The Buddha, he said this interesting thing about thought. He said that like every thought, if you feel into it, it's just a very subtle feeling of stress. It's like a very subtle contraction. And each thought that passes through your consciousness. Now, of course, with a little bit of mindfulness, we can see that some thoughts are incredibly stressful, and others, maybe it's almost unperceivable. But the point I'm trying to make with integration is it is so important that we spend more time in silence, more time in simply being and not doing. It's so important that we have more time resting. Just resting in emptiness, in beingness. And in this space, especially after retreat or after a big energetic awakening, if we allow there to be lots of time and space, and the energy of the retreat, the energy of the realization, it will continue unperturbed. And the more it continues, so like the longer you spend time in any new realization or any new spiritual experience, the more time you spend in that, the more deep, or the deeper the potential for integration. And so say, for example, we were on a retreat and we experienced just great emptiness. If as soon as that retreat ends, we're sending emails, we're jumping back into our relationship, we're going and, getting that ice cream and chasing here. And, often like in the olden days, we'd often would fly somewhere, travel somewhere to go on retreat. And as soon as that retreat would end, there would be this running to the airport. I can remember this funny moment. I was on a retreat with Adya at the Omega Institute, and it was getting near the end of the retreat. And Adya, just sometimes as spiritual teachers, you get into the flow and you just keep teaching and teaching. And he'd gone past the time, the time that the retreat was supposed to formally end. And someone in the back like shouted, "Hurry up now. I'm about to miss my plane." They heard like panic in their voice. And he was something like, "Oh, I could just hang out here with all of you forever." And, he was just in that space of just openness and love. And someone was like shouting, "Hurry up now." They even said something like, "No, you don't," because he was saying, I'm just going to keep going on. And they said some kind of, "No, you don't. I'm about to miss my plane." It's like they flip that switch back on of their egoic mind, their egoic identity. And the invitation of retreat is to give you another possibility of a way to live, a possibility that's not moved by habit, that old way of being, an egoic way of being. Retreat is here to show us there's another possibility for life. This possibility is called the spiritual life. And ever since I was a kid, I always wanted a life of spirit. And so as I grew into adulthood, I had all these opportunities just to go into the busyness of life. To work at some corporation or big agency or institution of some sort. And I was always like, no, no. Like I actually felt this tremendous anxiety. It was like, no, I don't want to do that. And I can remember like there was different times in my life on the path when, I'd kind of dip my foot into those waters. And I can remember I was at some business somewhere. And again, I think I was just like helping a friend out temporarily or something, helping my family out because my family ran a business. And I can remember being in a meeting and the people in the meeting talking about the corporate culture of the organization and all the expectations. And I was just like, hell no, hell no, there's no way. There is no way I'm going to drink from this cup. There is no way. I cannot, I will not drink from this cup. This cup will kill me. Will kill me. And so again, if I can kind of circle back to integration, integration is greatly supported the more time and space we give ourselves. Just resting in our realization, resting in this truth that is here. And a great question for inquiry is our mind often rushes us back to work and rushes us back to life. And sometimes it's just habitually picks up the phone and starts scrolling. And a great question is like, do I need to do this? Is this the truth? Is this the way? Like, does this rushing support this spiritual life that I want to live? Does it support it? Does this just chronic doing support my spiritual path? Because some of you come to me, you say, I want to be awake. I want to be awake. I want to be awake so much. And a great question is, well, how do you spend your time? Do you spend your time resting in being? Or do you have a lofty thought, I want to wake up? But then we have, I'm just going to say this, unlofty behavior. And I don't mean anything judgmental about that, but it's just like, is our behavior just habitual and egoic, samsaric, chasing this, grasping at that, avoiding fear at all cost, avoiding conflict, and avoiding our own pain, our own experience? I can remember the first Buddhist retreat I went on. And there was, I can't remember how many periods, it was like 10 periods of meditation a day, something ridiculous, but something I love, but something ridiculous to the normal human being. And, the teacher was telling me like, sometimes like people run out of these retreats, like they run away scared. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like leave the retreat? And they're like, yeah, they like pay for the retreat. They show up for like an hour and a half and then they just run away. They run away. They can't handle the silence. They're so addicted to the busyness of their life and avoiding their experience. And with integration, it's like, no, we're not going to avoid our experience. We're going to merge with our experience. We're going to stay with our experience. We are going to be here now. Like our friend Ram Dass teaches, we're going to be here fully. now with ourself, with what's happening, with what's arising. And what you find when you be here now, let's say it's post-retreat, and you begin to notice, oh, some of the light beginning to fade. It's a great question. Why? Why is this fading? Am I shutting down? Am I closing my chakras? Am I closing my heart? Is my attention divided? Because when I feel into the grace of God, God's not like, the retreat's over, I'm stopping the transmission. That's not what God is saying. God is saying, I want all of you. Peace isn't going anywhere. Love isn't going anywhere. This light isn't going anywhere. It's us that goes somewhere. That's a great question. Like, do I have to leave? Like, do I have to leave? Do I have to leave? And, like a fun game I used to play, after a retreat is, I'd wake up to some level of peace or light or spaciousness or whatever it was. So let's say I woke up, to some level of love on retreat. And the next day I'd wake up and I'd say, is it still here? Is this love still here? And if the answer was no, I would reach deep within, deep into the heart, and rediscover this love, reconnect to it, plug back into it. And as we continually plug back into the energy that we realized, then realization becomes abiding. It sticks, it stays. But sometimes, we follow a teaching. This is a very popular Buddhist teaching, which is, spiritual states come and go. Experiences come and go. Phenomena comes and goes. And we just let it come and go. And we just hang out not in the direct experience of our being, but we start hanging out again in our old habitual being. So experiences come and go, and then so does us. Like, so does our identification with truth. But let's not follow that way. I don't like that teaching. If you wake up to something great, I encourage you to bow before that in each and every moment, to honor it, to hold it at the forefront of your heart, the forefront of your consciousness. You literally worship that experience. I understand not being attached to spiritual states. I'm speaking about something different. I'm talking about worshiping the truth. And the more we worship it, the more it becomes foundational in our consciousness. And so in the coming days, I'm going to invite you to go slow. I'm going to invite you to be very gentle on the body, because sometimes so much grace comes and it is a little bit overwhelming to our humanity, and we can feel a little bit on edge or a little bit like blown open. And so get grounded, but that doesn't mean shut down. And go slow. Like, don't just rush back into life, but honor what's here. Support what's here. Continue to feel into what's here. Okay. So there was 2 questions that were emailed. I'm going to get to those, and I think we'll probably be in a good place. So these are questions from folks on retreat. Hi, Craig. I'm wondering if you can briefly cover in Satsang whether everyone needs to go through the challenging parts of a kundalini awakening to reach enlightenment, such as the things people in your kundalini support group go through. No. My quick answer is no. she goes on to write, Buddhist teachings don't mention it. And that's what I've always been drawn to, Buddhist teachings of Vipassana meditation. We all need to go through these severe symptoms as an indication that our kundalini is awakened. No, we don't. We don't. Or is it, or is that the main sign that it's in the process of awakening? I've had shaking, burping, burning in the chest, but I usually relax and it goes away. It rarely lingers. I feel like I have a petty questioning thing that happens for me where I wonder why I'm not going through it and feeling behind. I know it's silly. Thank you. One, I'll just say this. I don't think any questions are petty. I don't think they're silly. I think it's important that we have support. We have support with our experience. I had great support for decades with my experience. And sometimes we can really spin in our mind if we don't have good support. So let's see this question. Do I need to have big dramatic experiences of kundalini? No, we don't need to have that. I look at kundalini as God's grace. And if that grace wakes up in you in a powerful, dramatic way, that's just going to be part of your path. And we must accept that. We must love that. We must, jump to the deep end of the pool and be with it and focus on healing and integration. But if you are one of these people who's just kind of like on a smooth ride of awakening and you're not having so much drama and so much intensity, that's okay. That's okay. Me and my friend, my good friend Rick Archer, we've spoken about this a bunch. What is he? He's got a term for this. He calls it oozers, like people who just like slowly ooze into awakening. I think that's a funny word, but I'm just going to use it just to honor Rick, because just because I love Rick, but just kind of like slowly ooze into it, and it's just like a very subtle opening, and then one day they realize, oh, yeah, there's something remarkably different here. I'm remarkably different than when I started the path. And that's fine. Like some people have that as a karma, as a dharma, as a way of being. And then other people, like myself, have radical, dramatic moments of awakening. And I will not tell you that one is better than the other. I would actually tell you, do not compare. Don't compare. Just whatever hand, like a hand of cards you have been dealt, that's the hand you're going to play. And so, I will say this. So if you are having like a little bit of phenomena, and this person writes that they're having shaking, burping, burning in the chest, and then she usually relaxes and it goes away. Like, yeah, just play with that. Just play with that. If it's just energy and it's shaking, burning, and having a little bit of phenomena, and you relax into it, it goes away. There's a good sense you're integrating that. What a lot of people do instead of doing that is they notice like some burning or some shaking, and they say, what the hell is that? And they quickly repress it. and that's not the way. That's not the way. But you're saying, no, I just relax into it and then it goes away. Beautiful, beautiful, perfect. You're doing it right. And one of the sweet things about being a spiritual teacher is sometimes you just get to look at people and say, you're doing it right. And sometimes that's all we want as a student, is just for someone to pat us on the back and say, we're doing it right. Like so often, I'd go and see Adya and he'd just be like, yeah, that's how it is. It's all good. You're doing it right. He'd say things to be like, that's just what I did. And, he didn't really have any greater instruction. It was just a quiet sense of confirmation. Because it's easy, there's this term in Buddhism called comparing mind, like these states that our mind gets in, where we're always comparing ourselves to others. And a lot of people compare themselves to me and they say, oh, I need to have a big dramatic crazy, on the edge of destruction experience like Mr. Holliday had. It's like, you do not need to have that. You will have what God ordains for you to have. And if we accept that, that's going to be the quickest way. If we try to force someone else's path on ourselves, we'll find ourselves back on the wheel of samsara. And so I'm going to tell you, you're doing great. Go forward to the light. Okay. Here's another question. Hi, Craig. There's a question about chakras. And he goes on to write, he says, okay, with kundalini awakening, sometimes the heart chakra might be blown open instantly by some sudden events. That kind of opening is unstable and may get blocked again. But is that the case for a chakra like the heart chakra? Is there a way for it to open in a gradual manner? A part of the question is wondering if a chakra needs something like maintenance in order to stay open. Yeah, that's kind of a fun question. Does a chakra need something like maintenance to stay open? So in a sense, if we took everything I said about integration, if you notice like your heart opening, the way we integrate with a heart being open is to bring our attention into the space of the heart and keep our attention there and to let it rest here. Invite it to stabilize here. And so most human beings are either mentally wired, emotionally wired, or physically wired. The physically wired one, that's more of a rare thing, but most people are either mentally or emotionally wired. And we tend to have either a lot of energy in our head or a lot of energy in our emotional nature. So let's say we are a mental individual and a scientific individual, we have a scientific brain or an analytical brain, or we're just really comfortable in this, this area. And this is kind of like where the command center of our ego is, but also the command center of awareness is. And I see people all the time, they either meditate here in their head or in their heart. Most often it's in their head. It's like 80% of people meditate in their head. They have an egoic identification there. If your heart begins to open up, but your primary point of focus is your head, there's a good chance that heart will shut down again. It'll close, or it'll just contract, or it'll just be like, it tried to open, but then there's like no energy there because we are not there. That it'll just kind of, not necessarily close, but it'll just kind of rest in some kind of numb, vague, half-open place. But let's say you're a mental person and your heart begins to open and you bring your consciousness down into your heart and you stay there. And let's talk about how does that happen? It's through a willingness to think less, like I'll just make it very practical, to think less and to feel more, to experience more, and to experience more anchored in the heart. And so if we want the heart chakra to stabilize open, we have to lose that sense of fascination that we have with our thinking mind. Like we have to, excuse me, what I'm looking for is infatuation. We have to let go of that infatuation that we have with our thinking mind and become infatuated with our heart. And that is very hard for people who are mentally wired. Often they have no idea, like, what do you mean I'm infatuated with my mind? The unconscious thought is, I am my mind. Normally they don't say that, but that tends to be the unconscious thought. I am my mind. So if we want the heart to stabilize, we have to literally become the heart. anchor here in the heart. Know ourself as the heart. Again, this is a great question for integration. To know ourself as the heart. What is that? What is that like? It's like immense love. It's unitive. It's compassionate. Like the heart does not think. I was going to say something else, but I like the sound of that. The heart doesn't think. It doesn't think. Now the heart does have intelligence. Yeah, hey there. Yeah, hey. Hey. Oh, I love just seeing people snuggle. Hey. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Anyways, I'm sorry. I just saw a big ball of joy. A big ball of joy, and it made me smile. Let me see if I can find my train of thought again. The heart doesn't think, but the heart is radically intelligent. And so as we jump into the heart, it's a different type of consciousness. So if you want the heart to stay open, we need to embody this different type of consciousness and become this thing. We have to become love. And love isn't like busy thinking and tracking and like, talking about the play-by-play experience. Love is just radiating warmth, aliveness, this unitive presence, this great compassion. And the love will feel and embrace whatever is here. Whereas the mind might note, like a good Buddhist, I note that there is emotion here. I'm noting that. It's like sometimes I just love making fun of Buddhism, even though I love, I am a Buddhist. Probably not a Buddhist, but I'm not an ist of anything. But I love the teachings of the Buddha. The teachings are just so wondrous, is one word. And I especially love Tibetan Tantra. But anyways, in our mind, we can really think about our experience. We can analyze our experience. We can note it. I am being mindful of my experience. I see the thing arising within me. Whereas the heart is radically embraces. It doesn't think about the thing. It doesn't note that emotion is here. The energy of prajna immediately, prajna be like heart wisdom, heart power, immediately embraces what's here. It's a different type of consciousness, different type of operating. So if our heart chakra opens and we want it to stay open, we have to become the heart. We have to become this consciousness. We have to become this love. And the same is true. Like, let's play with the hara now. So for many of you, we were on this retreat, the hara began to open. And as it opened, we felt this energy, this strength, this depth of the earth. The depth of the earth does not think. It doesn't note things. It's not mindful of things. The mountain is not mindful of deer that walk upon the mountain. The mountain is not mindful of storms or rain or snow that occur on the mountain. The mountain just is in this deep, full, unmovable way. And so as the hara opens, like again it did for many of us on the retreat, if we want the hara to stay open, we become the mountain. We become this immense strength, this non-dual presence, just so utterly silent, so deep, so eternal. We step into that and we become that. So the opening of any chakra center and the stabilization of it is synonymous with realization. And by that, I mean, It is synonymous with a shift in identity. Like we can play the game where we hold on to our egoic identity and try to like make our heart be open and stay open, but it's not going to stay open because we're not there. We're not there. That thing must be embodied by what you are. And I can say it a flip way. You must become that thing if you want that thing to stay open. And the great truth is we are already that. We are already that. We are already that. But so many of us have forgotten that. And we've just stayed infatuated in our mind, with our thoughts. We stay infatuated. And this, infatuation, it just keeps us limited. Like if we're infatuated with one small aspect of our consciousness, that being like the egoic thinking mind or the spiritual superego, like for a lot of us on the spiritual path, we're just in our spiritual superego. We're just infatuated with that. And while that is a step forward from just being in just like a regular human Homer Simpson mind, if we want to know the truth, we have to become the truth. And so again, let me just check out that question again. I'm wondering if a chakra needs something like maintenance in order to stay open. If you want your chakras to stay open, you must embody them with the fullness of what you are. You become what they are. If you want the heart to stay open, you become love. If you want the heart to stay open, you become the mountain. The mountain. If you want the root to stay open, you become the earth, you become life itself. Life itself. If you want the third eye to stay open, you become space itself. You know yourself as space. We don't think about space. We don't write an analytical story about space and what space is. We become space. And for those of you on the Kundalini path, like that's the whole point of Kundalini. Kundalini is trying to show us. It's like knock, knock. Who's there? Kundalini. Kundalini. It's like, Kundalini, I'm trying to show you what you are. I'm trying to show you, human being, what you are. I'm trying to show you that you are the light. I'm trying to show you that you are the space. I'm trying to show you that you are the love. I'm trying to show you that you are the earth. That's what Kundalini is trying to show us. But so many of us, it's almost like we stay rooted in our spiritual superego and we open to Kundalini and then we kind of like think about it and we report on it, but it never like fully establishes itself because we continue to just be plugged into the infatuation in the mind. And we need to, if we want to be the thing itself, we need to become the thing. We need to do the math the other way. We dive into the Kundalini and surrender our mind and let it show us what we are. And David, you said something so beautiful in the Kundalini group. I can't remember what it was, but you said something like, I listen to it and let it instruct me. And see, like, that's the stepping stone. Like, that's the building block of listening to it, and you let it instruct you until you become it. When you become it, it's funny. It's like it doesn't even instruct us anymore. We are it. It just moves through us as us. And that's a different orientation. So that there's no longer two, and eventually there's just one. There's just one. And that's the way. And of course, you're walking in that direction. Okay. I saw yeah, Kathy writes more kundalini knock jokes. I'm sorry, I don't know where that came from. I have no idea where that came from. But I think I was just I'm just gonna stop at that. Okay. I'm just gonna look at the chat one more time. Hi Craig. It said that Enneagram type threes have carry. I don't know what this means. Carry immense shame. I cannot feel my shame so clearly, so I'm wondering where it may be hidden from my awareness. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes the shame is very subtle, and sometimes the shame looks like I'm not good as I am now. But for a three, it's always I'll be good in the future once I am successful. And so if we do the math like the opposite, like I'm ashamed now because I'm not successful. Like I'm not living. What do three teachers teach? Infinite potentiality. Number three teachers on the Enneagram, they teach a couple things: infinite potentiality and abundance. Like they're the ones that are always about like getting rich, getting rich, having an abundant lifestyle. An abundant lifestyle. That's a three teacher. And I'll bet on that anytime. For those of you who don't know the Enneagram, it's just similar to astrology. It's kind of similar to astrology. It's where the ego fixates. And, it fixates, often around a wound, a belief. And for the three, the belief is, I'll be happy in the future after I've achieved my goals and I'm worthy of love and adoration and I have lots of followers and people love me, or I've, not $1 million in the bank, but 25 million. Someone corrected me the other day, I was saying I'll be rich when I have $1 million. And they said, no, you're not rich unless you have 25 million. And I was like, dang, is that the new number? Is that the new number? How far away off? And so, Kyle, the shame, it may just be very subtle in the sense of, just this belief or this projection that I'm not good enough right now. Whereas if any of us rest in our truth, in fact, why don't we just do this now? As we feel into our heart now, into our purity, and into our innocence, in this love that we are, if we can feel our innate completeness, that this love that I am cannot be improved upon. Can we see that this love that I am is innately good, is whole and complete? And can we rest here? Can we live from this recognition? I am whole, I am complete, I am good. I am good. I am absolutely good in the here and now. And so please drink of this cup, drink of this realization, where you know that what you are is a brilliant, beautiful, radiant, innately good spiritual being. And so much love to each of you. Good night, everyone. Thanks for being with me. So lovely to share this retreat with you all. Oh, what a blessing. What a blessing. May all beings be held in peace, love, and happiness and joy. And my Lord, Lord, we beg of you, for all those struggling with war and violence and heartache and suffering, will you go to them? Will you uplift them? Will you support our world leaders learning to live in a way of compassion and kindness? Please, Lord, please help us here on planet Earth. Please help us to learn to love each other fully. Be with all of us, Lord. We love you so much. Amen. All right. Good night, everyone. So good to be with you. Bye.